Tippy time, my damies, Top Cat here, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are back on our Arc 3.0 Titan, and we are just checking out endless ability spam. Not only is it just endless, it is also stupid strong. Enough to go around in one phase multiple bosses across multiple encounters. I've used this build in Prophecy against the Cabal. I've used this against the Ogre and the Wizard in the Shattered Throne. We even had 6 people running this build in Last Wish against Morgath the Ogre. Use it in the night like we are here in the pits. It is just so much fun. But its run and gun potential is also super strong as well. I ran this in the Legend campaign and it did not miss a beat. So the way we are going to be doing this is by the exotic, the Heart of Inmost Light. Its armor perk, Overflowing Light, using an ability, a grenade, melee or barricade, empowers the other 2 melees following it. Empowered means the abilities have faster regen, melees and grenades do more damage, and the barricade has more hit points. We however are not using a traditional shield, we are using the thruster ability in the class section. While grounded, quickly evade in a lateral direction, just double tap your shield activation, in my case B, I'm on Xbox, and you're going to perform a daft little sidestep. I'm running this for 2 reasons. One, it's a quicker activation. You don't have to stand there and slam down your shield. You just double tap and you just do a little dodge and you've spent that ability. And the sooner you spend that ability, the faster you can get the more regen and move on to the next thing in the loop. And secondly, I have found this extremely practical when you are in the faces of your enemies. But because we are on the front lines, we will also be running the Spark of Resistance Arc Fragment. While surrounded by combatants, you are more resistant to incoming damage. But we're not going to stop there. Because we're always exploding things with our abilities, we're also going to use an Explosive Well Maker and a Well of Life mod just to keep us up with that healing bonus, as we are getting in the thick of it and we do want some way to regenerate our health, as we never want to stop moving. Whilst I got you here, if you're still here and enjoying the video, please hit that thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new and you're enjoying the content, goes a long way towards growing the channel. But let's get back into the chaos. The second link in our chain are going to be our melees. We're going to be using Knockout Arc Aspect. Critically wounding a target or breaking their shield infuses your melee attack with arc energy and increases the melee lunge range and damage for a short time. Defeating targets with a melee attack starts health regeneration and makes you amplified. Now this build will work with all of the melees in the arsenal that you have, but I would choose your melee depending on which activity you're doing. If you've got a lot of dense adds you're going to have to run through, I would recommend going with the shoulder charge. However, if you're doing something with like a boss encounter where you want some high DPS, I would go with the thunderclap melee. Seismic Strike, after sprinting for a short time, activates your melee. This will turn into a shoulder charge, destroying the target and blinding enemies that are around them. If you're amplified, the blind radius is even bigger. This shoulder charge is meant for red and orange bars. It starts off at 39k the first step, then moves up to 43, then goes up to 60. The Thunderclap melee, you got to charge it up with your feet planted and then you unleash it after a couple of seconds and it deals a lot more damage. In comparison to the shoulder charge, it does 56 at base, then moves to 62 with a final of 84 damage, so it's a lot stronger. But they're both great options and I'll let you choose depending on the difficulty of your operation. So next we're going to move to the grenade. We're using Storm Grenade. This grenade calls down a focused lightning storm. Once we apply our fragments and aspects to this grenade, and through the exotic of the Heart of Inmost Light, its base grenade value is 60,000, tier 2 is 90, and then it moves up to a whopping 160k, which is more than a charged up Izanagi shot, so very potent grenades. The Touch of Thunder Arc Aspect states, your flashbang, pulse, lightning and storm grenades have enhanced functionality. The storm grenade, after detonating, creates a roaming thundercloud that tracks nearby targets and fires bolts of lightning at the foes beneath it. So you can literally follow the boss around the map. So this makes it very advantageous. Our next fragment is going to be Spark of Magnitude. Your lingering arc grenades, in this case lightning grenade, pulse grenade and storm grenade, of which we are using, will have an increased duration. Just making sure that this storm just keeps on going around. Even once it's killed its target, it's going to go roam around and find another target. One of its greatest utilities. And because we're always moving with this build, it's so great that you can literally just like throw and walk away and just let it do its thing, and you can go find your next target, do your little sidestep, do your melee, and you'll have another grenade that's going to be roaming around. So pretty much that grenade's still going, and we've already got another grenade charged, so you can see how this loop goes. And our last two fragments are going to be Spark of Shock. Your arc grenades now jolt targets. This does have a slight stat penalty, but I wouldn't worry about that. And Spark of Ions. After you defeat jolted targets, you're going to create ionic traces coming back to you to feed you that ability energy. And it's with these fragments and aspects that are going to create the mad ability loop that you get that can deal damage to waves of ads and bosses alike. So I highly recommend this playstyle, because I know it's going to take a bit of convincing to get you up a Kyros of the Falling Star that you all Titans use for their T-Crash. I'm still using T-Crash, don't get me wrong, it's still a great super. You know, it does 220 damage, that is on the weaker side without the Kyros doing 440. But just think, one grenade and one melee combination will do the same as a standard T-Crash super. So if you literally can have a melee and a grenade up every 6 seconds, that is a T-Crash in your hands, ready to go at any given moment. Now the Falling Star isn't completely useless, it's still very good, and I'll use it in many encounters. But for a lot of my running and gunning, I just find this a lot better of a setup, as I do have lots of strength at me all the time. So now I'm going to break down the armor and weapons that I have been using primarily for this build. On our helmet we are running an explosive Wellmaker, and ashes to assets is we're chucking a grenade about every 6 seconds, and the LNG ammo finder. And to go with our explosive Wellmaker, we're using Well of Life, pick up that solar well, and it's going to give us healing for 10 seconds, love it. And I'm using Trace Evidence, defeating combatants that are affected by arc debuff spawns ionic traces. Melee Wellmaker, Unstoppable Shotgun for endgame activity. I'm using a Ragnhild D. This is an aggressive frame shotgun that can be crafted. Mine's running Perpetual Demo, but Perpetual 1-2 Punch is also another great option for this build. Pellet shotguns have got a significant bump in later seasons, so now there's a slight separation between where you would use a shotgun and where you would use a fusion rifle. I am also running a anti-barrier scout rifle mod. You can use this for your Duma Chouches, Great Void scout that came out this season. Tarnished Metal is another great scout rifle that came out this season. Fourth Times, Bolt Shot. You're going to be just laying lightning into people's faces, so yeah, highly recommend you get one of these things. It's going to be great for in-game content, particularly the light blade. But the staccato is another great option. I run mine with under pressure incandescent, and this is just great for getting those burns, the scorches, track targets. Shoots really long distance. I use this in PvE, PvP, up the likes, and it's just always good and reliable scout. And for our heavy, we have an oldie but a goodie. We're going with the Thunderlord LMG. This perk, Rain of Fire, final blows with this weapon generate stunning lightning strikes from above. This is strong against Overload champions. It has it built into it, and it's also got Feeding Frenzy as well. So very good reloads on this thing. They've been buffed again, so they actually do quite good damage. So they're good for wiping out waves of ads, but you can also chuck it into the belly of bosses and ultras alike. And the catalyst even gives you subsistence, so you shouldn't have to reload, but when you do have to reload, you got that Feeding Frenzy there ready to go. On my legs I am running an Elemental Ordnance to get me an Arc Well, Shotgun Scavenger, or LNG Scavenger, dealer's choice. seeking whales to bring both the arc whales and the solar whales back to me, just so I can help get that healing up and my ability spam nice and strong. We are double stacking thermoshock plating. It's going to reduce solar and arc incoming damage. So to recap this build, we got endless amounts of stupid strong ability spams. We've got great weapons that we can use at long and afar. We got great heals. We can stun every single champion here. We got an unstop, barrier and overload into this build, so you don't have to keep on swapping weapons in and out. This will do most encounters you chuck it at. Anyway, my damies, I hope you liked this video. I love this build to pieces and will be using it a lot this season. If you did like it, hit that thumbs. If you're new and you liked it, please sub. And if you've got any questions or suggestions, feel free to chuck it down below. And until next time, tippy tie my damies, what a tie.
Bottom of everything, he's the most tip-top.